time for another Coffee with Kilroy, or what I'm starting to call this segment, Beverage in a Book. Get your beverage. For me, it's coffee. No surprise there. For you, you can have whatever you desire. If you're at work, make sure it complies with HR protocols. And join me for paging through a book. I'll provide the book. And today I'm providing Spitfire, The Fight for Air Supremacy, a roll and write solitaire war game by Jamie Kirkpatrick. And you might remember that I did a Coffee with Kilroy or page through of Jamie's other book, B-17, The Flight for Air Supremacy, which, I in that segment, I kind of likened it to the old B-17, Queen of the Skies, which was kind of the beginning of what I call the Charty war game, or the Charty solo war game. This basically takes that perspective of a B-17 crew and puts it into a book format, and a little bit easier to take around and carry with you and manage that way. Spitfire, I think which came later in his development. I don't know how many books he has out. I just have these two so far. Spitfire is taking the perspective of a fighter plane as opposed to the bomber plane, and that's consistent with the way some of the board games have developed as well. There's been several Charty war games, as I call them, that have developed along the bomber route, B-17, and there was B-29, and there's been others that have kind of followed in that perspective. But there are now several games that have taken the fighter's viewpoint or approach, whether it is an escort or a interceptor or an attack type plane of some sort. There's been several board games that have come out in that space. I know Compass has done a whole line of those, as well as others have done a lot in this space. So it's only natural to convert that to a solitaire war game book, because we don't have enough solitaire war game books on the market right now. This is becoming a very crowded field. You have Mike Lambo doing several in this space, and then you have Worthington, adding their own spin and take on this space, and are going to be coming out with more, my understanding is. And then you have Minden as well. I didn't grab any of those for this, but Minden has been doing this before actually any of these came on the market. They were in this space in a little bit different way, and that's something that's interesting, is each one of these does things in a little bit different way. Jamie here is really focusing more on, again, kind of an extenuation of what I call the Charty war game approach. Others have taken more of a extension of the hex and counter, or a static game system, or even a roll and write. I left out Noah Patterson, who's done more of a roll and write and more of an abstract level in this space. So a lot out there, and I might actually do a whole segment. Probably won't do a Coffee with Kilroy, but then again, maybe I will. I need to do a whole segment on just this space and how it looks today, which is no. I don't think is a coincidence based on some of the logistics going on, and that little thing called COVID, actually pretty big thing called COVID, has pushed people into the solo realm a little bit more. My argument, I think we've been in the solo realm for since the beginning of wargaming, but that's a matter for a great debate. Maybe I'll put a link to that down here, but. That's another topic. Let's get into Spitfire, Fight for Air Supremacy, and see what this book has in store for us. So you have a little bit of introduction to the game. You've got the equipment to play this game. You'll need a pencil, rubber, and a handful of six-sided dice. I assume that's an eraser. Terminology, action dice, And so you're going to be rolling action that kind of tells you what you can do here. It looks like you got fire, pilot, and defend, and fuel are some of the actions you have here. Again, this is from the perspective of the fighter plane as opposed to a bomber, which is what B-17, the fight for air supremacy, was about. Here's your zones. Here's your enemies. Here's enemy combat, attacking, wingman. You can have a wingman in this now. That's quite common in fighter games. Weather, intercepting bombers. So we got a couple of bombers here. We have a Stuka and a Heinkel 111. It's kind of interesting. Victory points here, depending on what your score is. If you get 40 points or more, you get a major victory. Here's your German bomber production. So this, I think, is probably going to be, that's interesting. That this is, looks like it might be, I'm not sure if you're an escort in this or if you're cockpit of a Spitfire belonging to 11 group during the Battle of Britain. So this is during the Battle of Britain. So you're basically destroying German fighters and try to reach German bombers before they drop their bombs on British airfields. So this is on the Battle of Britain. I find that interesting, the German bomber production. That was, I think, one of the charts that was in the B-17. Here's your missions. It looks like there are 10 missions here. So you've got a little bit of variety there in the missions. Here is the Spitfire. This is going to be your player board, so to speak, or your main board where you're going to be keeping track of information, and this is where you're going to be keeping track of your progress. There's morale, and then there's combat, what combat zone you're in, going from long, medium, and short, and the like on this. And here's examples of a combat sheet. So this is an example of it, starting to mark it up. And again, as with any of these books, you need to determine, do you want to mark this up and go out and buy several of these? I'm sure Mr. Kirkpatrick would be very happy with that. Or do you want to, copy these or laminate these or trace paper these or, use markers on these? There's a lot of different ways you can handle that. Here's your sequence of play. You've got action dice, roll for weather, event check, carry out events. And then you have combat, fighter attack, discard defense dice, roll for damage, Spitfire or pilot, discard action fire dice to perform a fire action, and if action can't be used, re-roll all activation dice. So there's an example of that. And then you have, this is the way the game is going to be kind of laid out. You've got your playing and keeping track of stuff here, and then keeping track of stuff here. So it's relatively streamlined from some of the other games. There's not a lot of there's not AI charts or a lot of stuff going on here. You're mainly going through the sequence and checking what happens. Let's see here. So you're going to have several pages of these to do the different missions. These aren't specific to missions. These are just pages to use in the game. The missions will be laid out and tell you what you're trying to accomplish or what is unique to that back on this page right here. So these are just several copies of the same page there. So that's what you get in a book, Spitfire, The Fight for Air Supremacy, a roll and write solitaire war game. Kind of nice art there. And then you've got the back here. Spitfire, The Fight for Air Supremacy is a solitaire roll and write war game, putting the player in the cockpit of a Spitfire belonging to 11 group during the Battle of Britain. The player will have to engage and destroy German fighters and try to reach German bombers before they drop their bombs on British airfields. The aim of the game is to protect British airfields and to reduce German bomber production. The RAF are counting on you to take the fight to the skies. Beware the Hun in the sun. Tally ho, chaps. So there you have it. that's what I have for you today. Spitfire, Fight for Air Supremacy, a roll and write solitaire war game. Yet another option. Sorry about that. Had to get me some. Had to get me some coffee. Feel free to have a sip yourself. Another option in a ever increasing space or field of options in the solo war game book format genre. That's a mouthful. Anyway, thank you for spending some time with me today. I know your time is precious, so any time you spend with me, I greatly appreciate that. Love to hear your thoughts on this or any of the other games in this space. What you like, what you don't like, what you want to see coming next, what do you want to see different in some of these offerings. Again, I might do a full-on deep dive or exploration into this topic and cover everything I have, but there's a few more Minden games that I have that I want to get coffee with Kilroy's out there before I kind of do a survey of this. If you know of other ones, let me know. Love to hear it. Love to see what else is out there and start up a conversation on this. Do you think this is a bad direction and this is just kind of meaningless time waste, or do you think this is a welcome addition to the hobby? Love to hear your thoughts and love to hear your comments. In any event, enjoy your coffee. Your coffee. Wow, man, I was up late last night. Enjoy your coffee, your beverage, or whatever you're drinking. Drink responsibly, and have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.